he quite obviously loves you. I mean, you've played for nearly every game this season, but there was a moment, wasn't there, where he sort of like left you out. Did you agree with him on that point? Was that?
No, 100%. I learned from pre-season. Like a couple of the lads was a couple of minutes late in pre-season, and it was important for him to implement them rules there and then.
Because that's unusual for you. You would never be late, would you, in any situation?
No, listen, I wasn't even that much late, but...
Was he being harsh?
We'll get back to Gary and Marcus in just a quick second, but remember, if you like this video, please like, share and subscribe. And also, don't forget to click the notification button so that you know when the next Big D video hits. And also, you know what to do. If you've got something to say, the comment section is for you. So please, if something's bubbling up inside of you that you need to get off your chest, even if you think the Big D's talking nonsense, please put it in the comment section. I read all of the comments. Anyway, well, this little clip is from an interview with Marcus Rashford and Gary Neville from about 18 months ago, right after Marcus Rashford had his 30-goal season. And I just discovered this while I was, having a little sort of deep dive into a YouTube rabbit hole, and I didn't even know that this interview existed. I must have flew under the radar when the Big D wasn't looking. And I just wanted to take a little look at it and sort of comment on it, just with the benefit of hindsight, really. Because obviously Marcus is controversial figure now, but back then he was a hero, and with the benefit of hindsight, we can maybe do a little bit of analysis on what he had to say in this interview. Anyway, here's Gary, here's Marcus. Stick around for after the clip, because the Big D will be giving his thoughts. Here's the boys.
So let's talk about Manchester United, and I think back to my start of my career and how fortunate I was to come into a stable environment where there was one manager. They just won the Premier League title. There were brilliant senior players, obviously they'd had success. And I think of where you came into, you've had absolutely the opposite of that. You've had 5 managers, you've had different styles of play, a lot's been asked of you. How has that been? How hard has that been?
It's been a little bit tough, but honestly, I've enjoyed working under the different managers, because I feel like I've been able to take a little bit from each manager, and it's helped me mature, especially in the early stages, helped me mature quickly and help my game develop a little bit more. So I think there's definitely stuff that I've taken from each manager that's helped shape my game to where it is now, and hopefully we do get that stability now, and we can go into definitely challenge and hopefully win the biggest trophies.
And then just talked about Erik Ten Hag. Obviously you've enjoyed last season, you absolutely incredible season, scoring all those goals. What was the biggest difference? What changed when he came in? Because he certainly had some big decisions to deal with as well along the way, and he was tough, wasn't he, with them?
No, 100%. But when he come in, I didn't hear him speak about getting in the top 4 once. He just wanted to win trophies, and if you've got that mentality, I've always been around people that have that mentality. So
he was telling you we want to win trophies at this club.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what we're playing in, whether it's Europa League or Premier League, any of the cup trophies. He wanted to try and win everything. And listen, the players, we give it everything we could. We let ourselves down definitely in the Europa League. And I feel like in the league there was a period where we weren't defending as well, and we stopped scoring as many goals as we was scoring. So that's something that I'll definitely want to correct for.
Yeah, those big games, there's some big defeats, weren't there, in the sort of 3 or 4 games?
Yeah,
sort of like almost
100%. But we'd always bounce back from them. Listen, it feels there's no lower point when you go to rival teams and concede 4, 5, 6 goals. There's nothing worse than that. You have to try and find the positives in the game after. We always had a good performance and won.
How did you recover? Because you always did seem to recover from those defeats. When what was his words, or what did you all do after those games?
We'd still do the game analysis.
You go back and watch it again, maybe. Even after like a 7-0 at Anfield, you go and watch it.
Maybe not watch it, but he'd watch it definitely, and he'd dissect it to us in maybe a team meeting. Yeah, because sometimes as players you definitely don't want to watch it, but I feel like his understanding of players is very high. And there's nothing worse, and I definitely don't want to watch it. I don't want to watch any games back, because what's the point? There's nothing you can take from him. But the next game, it's important to clear your head, because you can't let that dwell. Because we had some big fixtures, especially after Liverpool game. We had Sociedad at home, I think it was, and we had a really good performance. I think we won 4-1. But yeah, it's not easy to recover. But he'd always, throughout whatever time we had after a bad result, he'd give us confidence again and, you know, remind us sometimes that, listen, you wouldn't be here if you aren't good players. And I'm not one to need that all the time, but there is times after games like that, you know, just a reminder, like, listen, next game you're gonna do it. And he always gives us that full confidence and support. But like I said, in the end, we fell short in the league. I was disappointed with how we finished the league, because I felt like we could have, you know, put a bit more pressure on, you know, Arsenal and City. And in the end, it was, you know, 15 points, 20 points gap. So it's a little bit disappointing. But yeah, we managed to get a trophy over the line, which is always important, not only for the players but for the fans. I mean, the culture of Man United, it's always been about winning trophies, and it's good to get back to that, because it's been a few years since we have.
He quite obviously loves you. I mean, you played for him nearly every game this season, but there was a moment, wasn't there, where he sort of like left you out? Did you agree with him on that point? Was that?
No, 100%. I learned from pre-season. Like, a couple of the lads was a couple of minutes late in pre-season, and it was important for him to implement them rules there and then.
Because that's unusual for you. You would never be late, would you, in any situation?
No, listen, I wasn't even that much late, but...
Was he being harsh?
No, I don't think he was being harsh, because late's late at the end of the day, but it was probably about 45 seconds, a minute late. But I already knew what was going to happen because of the rules that he implemented in pre-season, so I'm not going to sit and argue about it, because we've got a game to try and win, and Wolves away for us in the last couple of years, it's not been an easy place to go, so... There's a time and a place when to speak to him about it, but if we go on and win the game, then nobody cares.
You came back from the World Cup, and it was a glorious watch seeing you play as well as you did. I think it was only Erling Haaland scored more goals after the World Cup. What changed after that World Cup? Because you just looked absolutely unstoppable. You really want to play for England, don't you?
Yeah, 100%.
Desperate to play.
It's a huge part of my career, and I feel like the team's very strong, and like we've got a good chance of winning stuff, and I'm, you know, obviously desperate to be a part of it. But when I come back from the World Cup, I feel like there was a mentality change, and I felt like I was, you know, up there with some of the best players in the world at that time.
You sit here today having scored 30 goals last season, and it's your best ever season. Do you feel like that's it now? You've hit that mark, and you feel like...
Yeah, there's no time to... I think before that I'd always said, like, let's get to 20. I think 20 for a winger's a good benchmark. But, you know, this season I've hit 30, so we have to try and push it now and go above and beyond. But yeah, I feel like I can definitely do it. I think towards the end of the season I was struggling with a few, you know, injuries, and I probably weren't quite high, and that's when the goals started to dry up a little bit. But if I can get that side of it, keep that under taps, and, you know, I feel like I can definitely go and, you know, get 35 or 40.
Roy.
Yeah, well, I mean, it makes you wonder what's happened, really. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that he said anything in this particular clip that, I don't know, that sort of blows my mind in any kind of way, except when he said he wants to score 40 goals from the wing, because he hasn't gotten anywhere near that. But, I mean, it does make you think about his disciplinary issues. So he's been late for Erik ten Hag, and Erik ten Hag has obviously disciplined him a little bit. And sort of those disciplinary issues haven't necessarily gone away, obviously, because, I mean, he swans off to America. Also, you know, he's not training properly under Amarim, and because of that, he's been shipped off to Aston Villa. But I remember reading that obviously Erik ten Hag had issues with Ronaldo and Sancho, two different reasons, obviously. And he came down like a ton of bricks on both of those guys because they weren't doing what he was asking them to do. And that when it came to Rashford was seemed to be the lesser of those three evils, so to speak. And he felt as though he couldn't do it with Marcus because, well, one, Marcus had just, well, he was a 30-goal a season winger at that point, and he didn't really have anyone to fill his shoes. Because they bought Anthony to replace Sancho, and they bought Højlund to replace Ronaldo. But who did they have to replace Marcus Rashford? They didn't have anyone at that time. And I think he just thought, well, I'm going to bet the house on Rashford, Erik Ten Hag that being, and let's see where we go. But unfortunately, Erik Ten Hag changed the system, didn't he? And he was playing the high press, tippy-tappy stuff, which doesn't suit Marcus Rashford. And I also saw a clip of Jose Mourinho as well talking about Marcus Rashford, and he was talking about, which we all kind of know, really. And he was saying that Marcus Rashford, he's good on the counter-attack, but when it comes to playing against teams that play the low block, he doesn't necessarily have enough intricate skill to be able to break down those defensive. But on the counter, he's devastating. But we already knew all of this. And it's a shame, really, because the odd time Marcus has played for Ruben Amorim, he scored a couple of goals. Because this system that Amorim plays, it does utilise a little bit of counter-attacking as well. So he's good at that, and obviously he has scored some goals, but I don't know. But Gary Neville sort of alludes to something there in the clip. He talks about that when Gary Neville came into the Manchester United side, he was coming into a settled side, one manager. There was stability there, and it was just and the standards were in place too. So it was just a case of Gary Neville just slotting in and making sure he rises to the occasion in training every day and at the weekend during the match. But Marcus Rashford has played under Louis van Gaal, Jose Mourinho, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Ralf Rangnick, Erik Ten Hag, and Michael Carrick, Ruud van Nistelrooy, and also Ruben Amorim. He's had 8 managers. 8. And since that interview, which was 18 months ago, he's had Erik Ten Hag, he's had Ruud van Nistelrooy, and he's had Ruben Amorim. He's had 3 of those 8. So, I'm not surprised the guy's just... If he has indeed given up the ghost at Manchester United, I am not surprised. And just looking at this interview, I'm going to do some commenting on another clip from this interview after this video. And he does seem like an interesting character. He does seem like a really nice bloke. And he seems like quite a sensitive bloke as well. So something's gone on there. That's something inside of him has just kind of switched. Or maybe he was always like that, and maybe Ruben Amorim has just thought, nah, not for me. And then obviously with the added sort of influence of PSR, that if they sold Marcus Rashford, they could get, double the amount they could spend in the summer, then, Ruben Amorim would maybe rather have someone else in that specifically suits his system. Who knows? But what do you guys think? What do you think of Marcus in this clip? Do you think it foreshadows what was to come with the disciplinary issues, and also with Gary Neville talking about the settled side that he walked into, and the fact that Marcus Rashford hasn't had that, and maybe he wants to go into a settled side in the summer, and he's kind of got it now with Aston Villa. But anyway, what do you guys think? Tell me in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.